So at the outset, I express my heartfelt gratitude towards the organizers of this event, the Indian Council for Historical Research, and their branch in Pune for inviting me to deliver this lecture. It is indeed a great honor to be with the ICHR and to talk on their platform. This topic is actually the Kotapur and the Kasheli charters or plates of the Śilāhāra Ruler Bhoja II. And this topic is very interesting, you see. Now, as you see, this is the Kasheli charter, and this is one of the Kotapur plates. So let's now begin our journey. Before we go to the plates, actually, it's better to see the geography of the region we are talking about. Now, this Kanakaditya temple is actually the place where Kasheli is located. In fact, Kasheli is located. The Kanakaditya temple is located in Kasheli village, and this is the other village, Kotapur, where the plates are situated. So the distance by road walking is 21.6 kilometers, and by crow flight it is something like 16 kilometers. And this river is the river Muchkundi, and it will come in our course of discussion why these geographical details are important. Now you see, the journey began when the Kotapur plates actually came to the Bhandarkar Institute for the purpose of cleaning and preservation. So this is my colleague, Mr. Nikhil Gadgir, our conservator, and he is treating the Kotapur plates. And this is a close-up of the process he is carrying out. Now, these plates were given to us by a teacher from Rajapur named Sitaram Keshav Gurjar Padhye. And when they came to us on the 20th of April 2006, they looked like this. And when we handed over the same to Sitaram Keshav Gurjar Padhye, when he came to Pune during his summer vacations again, the plates looked like this. So we had cleaned them effectively, and we had also given a coat on the plates so that they would not be deteriorated any further. Now, because that was important, because the plates were going to be in Konkan region, and you know the climate of Konkan is not really very good for keeping such precious items, you see. Now, this is the plate first side of the Kotapur plate. You see there is no matter on this particular plate, on this particular side. And this is the second side of the first plate, and you see the matter that is written. And let me tell you, it is written with some kind of a pigment made by sealing wax and some other substances which remained unidentified throughout the process. But we actually cleaned the copper so that the ink could become visible, and unfortunately it was not bleeding, and that's why it remained intact throughout the process, and it is also intact today. Now this is the first side of the second plate, and the second side of the second plate here. Then what we have is the first side of the third plate, the first and the second side of the third plate, and here on the second side of the third plate, the matter comes to an end. Here you see the word Ramachandraha. So here the matter ends there. Now, about the Kasheli charter, and you must have noticed that I was using the word Kotapur plates here, and I'm using the word Kasheli charter because the Kotapur plates are separate, 3 plates, whereas the Kasheli charter is actually ringed and it is sealed, and so it is a full set actually. Okay, so the Kasheli charter, we happened to see the Kasheli charter when the head of the department of Sanskrit at the Gokte Joglekar College at Ratnagiri and the vice principal there, Dr. Kalpana Atle, she had invited me to actually conduct a workshop on manuscriptology and manuscript preservation particularly on the 3rd, 4th and 5th of February. And on 4th of February, we visited the village Kasheli. Now, the peculiarity of this visit was that these Kasheli plates, they are actually held by the trustees of the Kanakaditya temple, the sun temple at Kasheli, which is a famous temple. And these plates can be seen by people from actually Makara Sankranti to Ratha Saptami, when they have a festival there. Otherwise, for the whole year, throughout the year, the plates are locked in a bank locker. So this day, 4th of February 2020, was the day, penultimate day, when the plates could be seen actually by us. And we were so fortunate to see them, and the trustees of the Kanakaditya temple were generous enough to allow us also photograph the plates. So this is the first side of the first plate, as you see, and this is the seal. And it's a very impressive seal, you see, it is Garuda and a typical Śilāhāra seal. Now, this is the second side of the first plate, and you can see that the edges are raised very well, and the matter is actually very clear. This is one of the best plates I have seen in my experience of, say, about a decade and perhaps more. So, this is the first side of the second plate, plate 2 side A. This is the side B of the same plate. And this is the first side of the third plate, and the matter is very neatly concluded here. So Mangalam, and below that they have actually given the word Mahashri. So just at the end of the third plate, first side, the matter is concluded. Now, the Kasheli plates are also important because this first plate had the word here Devuprada, that is inscribed, and you see a cow and a calf and sun and moon that are actually inscribed, but these are not the parts of this particular inscription. They perhaps are the parts of this inscription, which is an inscription by Ramanasa Mandalika and Zakhana Mandalika. This inscription is in Marathi and in Devanagari of that particular period. And this inscription dates 31st of August 1279, and today is 31st of August. So today this inscription turns 741 years of existence. So that's also a very important occasion. But we are not concerned about this inscription. We are concerned about this inscription, which is that of Bhoja II of Kolhapur Śilāhāras. And as you see, the language of this inscription is Sanskrit, and the script is Nagari. And of course, it is a very well executed inscription. In fact, the best executed inscription that I have seen so far, as I told earlier. Now, the Kasheli plates are really very celebrated plates. They were published quite a number of times. In fact, the Kasheli plates were one of the very early discovered plates, or rather, I should not say plates, I should say charter, the Kasheli charter. Now, you see, James Grant and Dr. Taylor had got hold of this charter at Satara, and they had studied it, and they published English translation of the charter, and they also gave the plates, but they were transcripts actually. Okay, then it was V.K. Rajwade, Itihasacharya V.K. Rajwade, who must have studied the Kasheli charter actually in original when he visited the Kasheli village, and he published it in the annual report of the Bharat Itihas Samshodhak Mandal in Śaka 1835, that is the year 1913. Okay. Now the next was G.H. Khare, who was another very important, very great epigraphist in his own right, and he made a summary of both the inscriptions that are included in the Kasheli Charter. Okay. Then you see the Marathi part of it was published by Alfred Master in 1957, and he published only the Marathi part of it. Okay. Following him, it was M.G. Dikshit, who was the director of archaeology, government of the then Bombay Presidency, and he actually published only the Marathi grant in one of his articles. Okay, the details of the articles are given. Then following him, S.G. Tulpule, who was again a great epigraphist in his own right and a professor of Marathi in the University of Pune. He also published only the second grant in his magnum opus, Prachin Marathi Koriv Lake. Following these, Mirashi, V.V. Mirashi, a great epigraphist again, he published only the first Sanskrit grant, and he did not actually touch the Marathi inscription in 1974. And in fact, he has said that he has taken the text from the previous editors because he could not see the grant or the charter in original. So his book, Śilāhāra Rajavamshacha Itihas and Koriv Lake, he has published it there. And he was also the editor of the Corpus Inscriptionum Indicarum, Volume 6, which pertains to Śilāhāras. And he has published the same inscription there also, and translated some of its excerpts in English. But the problem with this editing was that Mirashi took the plates that were published by Grant and Taylor in 1823. And I don't know why he neglected the reading made by Rajwade, because Rajwade must have read it from the originals. That is very much visible in his article. Because you see, Rajwade had visited Kasheli, and he had also set up the he had identified the geographical locations that are described in that particular charter. But somehow Mirashi did not take his reading, and Mirashi trusted more Grant and Taylor because they had published the images of the inscription. Of course, they were not the images of the inscriptions. They were the images of the transcript of the inscription. And as you see here, this arrow, you see this is line number 44. And in fact, the charter has something like 60 lines, whereas Mirashi gives it in 44 lines, the same matter, because Grant and Taylor have given the transcript in 44 lines. But Rajwade has given it in 59 lines. Of course, the numbering is wrong there. But anyway, it is better than 44 anyhow. The point is that Mirashi, had Mirashi taken the reading from Rajwade, then it would be better. But he trusted the images more than the text of Rajwade, and there is a reason for that. And the reason is that there are so many mistakes in Rajwade's reading also. So it is not free from mistakes, but they could be done good somehow or the other, but Mirashi did not do that. Now, about the second, that is the Kotapur plates, that are separate plates. Now you see, the matter of the Kotapur plates was handed over to V.K. Rajwade by two persons from the Gurjar Padhe lineage or house from Kotapur. Okay, and Rajwade did not have the time to go to Kotapur or see the plates in original, and that's why he just made it a point to publish it as it was. And so he published the text from the transcript that was handed over to him, and Rajwade had not seen the original plates, and Rajwade could not publish the images of the inscription. So that he did in Prabhat magazine. Now, this particular article is not available to us, but thankfully, Mirashi took the text from Rajwade and published it as it is. And there, Mirashi has stated that Rajwade has not seen the inscription. Rajwade has edited it from the transcript that was made available to him. And similarly, I am adopting the text of Rajwade. So there, Mirashi adopted the text of Rajwade twice, because in Marathi he did it, and also in English, just like what he did to the Kasheli charter. Now the point is that this is not all. After the Kotapur plates came to us, we actually cleaned them and also carried out a conservation process of conservation. And we wrote a paper, or rather presented a paper in the 7th session of the Brahan Maharashtra Prachya Vidya Parishad that was held in May 2007. And you see here Nikhil Gadgil, Naresh Belekar, and Shreenand Bapat. And it is only about the conservation process that we carried out. So it doesn't say anything about the matter of the inscription, because that is not the intention of the paper. But we had read the plates at that time, and we had preserved it well. Then you see, again we are going to the Kasheli charter. Mr. Shrikant Gurjar, in 2002, perhaps, he brought out a pamphlet on the Kasheli charter, and this is the copy of the pamphlet, and it is 10 pages, you see, and he gave the text and the translation of the charter. Then about the Kotapur charter, the Kotapur plates, it was Ravindra Lad who attempted to publish the text and translation of the Kotapur plates in Marathi, and he gave also one photo on the cover of the particular journal. Okay. In 2013, I read a paper named Riddle of the Kotapur Plates in the Samvidya Institute of Cultural Studies annual conference. And I had expressed a doubt that the Kotapur plates are not as original as they are considered. So, or rather, they are doubtful. So that's what my doubt was. And this is the pamphlet that I showed you just now. And you see, Mr. Shrikant Gurjar has actually given it is the text shlok wise and also the translation. So even he has missed giving line wise matter. Okay. Now about Mr. Lad, he has attempted to publish the Kotapur plates, and he has described his visit to Kotapur and the place where he could see the Kotapur plates, etc. Now his text is here. He has also given it shlok wise and also according to his convenience. And this is the plate he has published actually. You see, only one plate. And his text ends here. So Rajakiyanam Ananguli Prekshaniyam Pradat. That's what it is. And actually this line is the line number 50 of the Kotapur plates. Line number 50. So this ends at line number 50. And there are 18 more lines to go. So he has perhaps not included that matter in his reading. So this is how it is. So these plates were published quite a number of times, but nobody has published their facsimile images as of now. And even the text has suffered a great deal because some of the editors could not see the plates in original, and some who could see them in original were not benefited by the opportunity that they received. So that is the problem. Now I have submitted articles on these plates to the Annals of the Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute, and they will be published in due course, of course. Now, so this is the story of the publication of these plates. Now we shall go to compare these two, the charter, Kasheli charter and the Kotapur plates, you see. Now, both these have 3 plates, and you see in the case of the Kasheli charter, there are 4 sides that are inscribed in Sanskrit and 2 sides that are inscribed otherwise. So one is in Marathi and the other has the cow and the word Deva Prada, etc. Whereas the Kotapur plates, there are 3 plates again, and 5 sides are written. Okay. Now the ring and the seal is intact in the case of the Kasheli charter, and there is no ring. In fact, there are no holes to actually put the 3 plates together with any ring or something like that. So there is no provision for that as such. Now the size of these plates, 30 by 22.2, and the Kotapur plates are just larger than the Kasheli charter. Okay, and the entire set weighs 7 kilograms and 480 grams, the Kasheli charter, whereas the Kotapur plates are lighter and they weigh something like 5 kilograms and 731 grams. Now here is a very interesting point. You see, the number of lines that the Kasheli charter has is 60, and the number of lines that the Kotapur plates have is 68, and we shall see what the reason behind this thing is. Now, if you compare line-wise, Kotapur and Kasheli, the Mangala takes 2 lines, then the genealogy of the king, which is almost identical, not completely identical, but almost identical, it takes something like 38 lines or 39 lines afterwards. Then the details of the donation take something like 9 and 10 lines. The boundaries of the land that is donated are very well actually defined in the Kasheli charter, whereas they are attempted to be defined in the Kotapur plates, but we'll see what exactly they are. So if you ask me, I'm putting them as absent only. Okay. Now, you see, there is a very peculiar matter here. The Kasheli charter does not have it, but the Kotapur plates, there is a eulogy of the Doni, and this is something extremely unusual. You don't see this phenomenon in most of the inscriptions. I won't claim that you don't find it anywhere, but in most of the inscriptions, and it is completely different from the pro forma of the Śilāhāra inscriptions. Okay. Now, second thing is that in the Kasheli charter, there are 8 verses, imprecatory and closing, and they occupy something like 12 lines, whereas in Kotapur plates, there are 15 verses, and they occupy something like 19 lines. So this is a big number, and this sudden increase, because you see, both the charter as well as the plates, they are of the same year, or they claim to be of the same year, but still there is so much of difference, and certainly this is again different from the pro forma of the Śilāhāra inscriptions. Okay. Now, let us see what the matter is. So from the beginning, Swasti, Shri, Jayatya, Vishkrutam, etc., until the actual matter of the donation. So, Shri Bhoja Devaha, Padmanala Durge, Sukha Sankatha, Vinodena, Rajyam Kurvana. So, till that, there are hardly any differences. But then it begins here. Now, let us see what the Kasheli charter gives as the date. So, Śaka Varsheshu, Satrayodasha Shatadhika Sahasreshu Gateshu, Vartamana Virodhikrut Samvatsare, Ashada Shuddha Chaturthyam, Brahaspati Vasare, Dakshinayana Sankramana Parva Nimittam. So, Śaka 1113, Virodhikrut Samvatsara, Ashadha Shuddha Chaturthi, and Brahaspati Vasara, that is Thursday. And it exactly matches Thursday, July 27, 1191. There is no problem with this date at all. Okay. But what about the Kotapur plates? Sashaka varsheshu satrayodasha shata sahasreshu gateshu vartamane virodhakrut samvatsare kartika masi amavasya tithau indu vasare suryoparage. So Kartika Amavasya, solar eclipse, Indu Vasara, that is Monday. Okay. Now this matches Monday, November 18, 1191. So there is no problem with the date. The only problem is that on Kartika Amavasya in the year 1191, that is Monday, 18th of November 1191, there is no eclipse. So this is Monday, 18th of November, and there is no eclipse here. Now, you see, on the other hand, the solar eclipse occurs on December 18th, which is a Wednesday, and it is Margashirsha Amavasya. So not Kartika Amavasya, the next Amavasya. Margashirsha Amavasya, and there is a solar eclipse here. Okay. So on Kartika Amavasya, there is no eclipse, and on Margashirsha Amavasya, there is eclipse. The next thing is that this eclipse of Margashirsha was visible in India only from Kerala and Tamil Nadu. And you see that Śilāhāra territory is here. So it was not certainly visible from the Śilāhāra territory. And why this is important? Because you have so many eclipses occurring every year. They can be calculated mathematically. They have been calculated mathematically for at least the last 1,000 years or more. But the Dharmashastras say, and I am citing from Samvatsara Pradeepa, the Dharmashastras say that you should actually perform religious rites only on the occasion of the eclipse which is visible to you. So Chakshusha Darshanam Yattad Grahanam Uchyate. Chakshusha Darshanam Rahor Yattad Grahanam Uchyate. Only if it is visible to you, only then it is an eclipse. Tatra Karmani Kurvita. So perform religious rites only on that occasion. Ganana Matra Totu Na. Not because you get an eclipse by mathematical calculations. No, never. So the point here is that the inscription gives the date Kartika Amavasya on which there is no eclipse. There is an eclipse on Margashirsha Amavasya, but that eclipse is not visible from the territory of the Śilāhāras. And still you find that there is a charter or there is an attempt to produce a charter on that day. That is the point. Now, there is also a manipulation of the text. This is the text of Mirashi. Of course, it is copied from Rajwade. Okay. So, Sukha Sankhatha Vinodena Rajyam Kurvana Shaka Varsheshu Satrayodasha Shatadhika Sahasreshu Gateshu Vartamana Virodhakrut Samvatsare Margashirsha Masi. That's what Mirashi writes, because Rajwade must have taken it like that. Margashirsha Masi Amavasyayam Tithau and Saumya Vasare. Saumya Vasare. It is not Indu Vasare or it is not Soma Vasare. It is Saumya Vasare. Now, Margashirsha Amavasya, Shaka 1113 and Saumya Vasara, that is Wednesday. So this matches with 18th of December 1191. This matches with 1191. This matches with the solar eclipse. The only problem is that I'm showing you the part of the inscription where this date is given. So Virodhakrut Samvatsare, and you see Kartika Masi Amavasyayam Tithau. So the matter of the plates, it gives you Kartika Amavasya and not Margashirsha Amavasya. And of course, there is a mention of the Suryoparagesi. There is a mention of the eclipse. So the point is that the date has gone wrong, but somebody has tried to manipulate with the date because that person or that group of persons, you may say, they came to know that Kartika Amavasya of this particular year had no eclipse, and on this count, this whole matter is likely to be called as spurious. So that's it. So that is why perhaps this date was deliberately manipulated. I don't think it is unknowingly manipulated, because Kartika and Margashirsha, they cannot be actually interchanged. Okay, there is the form is not the same actually. There is a great difference between the three letters Kartika and Margashirsha. So there is no interchangeability there. This must have been done deliberately. By whom? We really don't know. And there is no chance to know who must have done it. Okay. Now, how about the matter of the Kasheli and the Kotapur charter and plates? So Kumara Gandaraditya Vinyapanena, the Kasheli charter says. So for by the request of Kumara Gandaraditya, Tasya Abhyodayartham, for his welfare, Attavire Kampana Madhyavarti. So there is Attavira, that is today's Adivure, that was a Kampana, and in the center of that, Kasheli Grame, Pratidinam Dwadasha Brahmana Bhojanartham, Sagrama Pinda Adana Dravyam, Sarvam, Tatratya Govinda Bhatta Haste, Dhara Purvakam, Sarva Namasyam, Sarva Badha Pariharam, Rajakiyanam Ananguli Prekshaniyam, Chandrarkam Pradat. So the king is pleased to donate. What has he given? He has donated for Dwadasha Brahmana Bhojana, for feeding 12 Brahmanas every day, Pratidina. And Grama Pinda was some kind of a tax. So including everything, Dravyam Sarvam, including Grama Pinda Adana. So all the taxes of the Kasheli village were given to Govinda Bhatta in order to feed 12 Brahmanas every day. Okay. And Sarva Namasya, so it was completely given, Sarva Badha Parihara, without any hindrances, etc. And Rajakiyanam Ananguli Prekshaniya. So in fact, Ananguli Prakshepaniya it should be. So that the political people, that is the people of the state, would not be able to enter their fingers into this affair. So that's it. So the conditions are very clear. Now, what are the conditions of the Kotapur plates? Dhara Purvakam, Udadhi Tatavarti Konkana Deshe. Dhara Purvakam, by pouring water on one's hand. Udadhi Tatavarti Konkana Deshe. In the Konkana, in the land of Konkana, on the shore of the sea, this is unnecessary. And then you see there is a whole description of the Doni. Kashyapa Avatsara Naidhruva iti Tripravara Upeta Naidhruva Gotrotpanna. There is a repetition, Naidhruva. Okay. Naidhruva Gotrotpanna, and they have given their pravaras. Okay. Kashyapa Avatsara Naidhruva iti Tripravara Upeta Naidhruva Gotrotpanna Gurjara Samupa Abhidhana Govinda Pattavardhana Haste. Now here is only Govinda Bhatta and Govinda Pattavardhana Haste. Ishtapurta Vratam Prayashchittam Jyotisham Evacha Puranam Pradvivakatvam Rashtra Dharma Nirikshanam. Now, actually, the sentence is not complete, you see. Okay, Dhara Purvakam, and actually the word Pradat comes after so many lines. You will find it in the next few lines actually. Okay, so why is the Doni being described so much? Kashyapa Avatsara Naidhruva iti Tripuravara. That's not necessary. Giving his Gotra is okay, but giving the Pravaras is not necessary. And Gurjara Samupa Abhidhana, Govinda Pattavardhana or other Pattavardhana. So here is Govinda Bhatta and here is Govinda Pattavardhana or Pattavardhana. Now, why this? Okay. And the Kasheli charter does not mention his Gotra, but the Kotapur plates give his Gotra, his Pravaras, everything. And when unnecessary details are given, it's always doubtful. Okay. Now here appear some lines which are not there in the Kasheli charter at all, but only in the Kotapur plates. So Kuladhikara Sthaladhikarau Gramadhikara Kulalekhanancha Brahmasano Nyaya Vidhi Prayuktam Paurohitam Jyotisham Ashtamamcha. So what are the rights that he has? So Kuladhikara, he has the right over the family, he has the right over the place, he has the right over the village, and he also has the right of, we don't know what Kula Lekhana exactly is, and he also has a right to do justice in that particular village. He has the right to be priest of the village. He has also right to be the astrologer of the village. So all these 8 form the Ashtadharmas. So Ashtadharmasya Tatvajnah Nrupena Adhikritascha, and who is authorized by the king, Dharmadhikari, one who has been made the officer of the Dharma, and Vipresha, and the king of the Brahmins, and in fact he is Brahmadanda Prabhurhi Saha. So many repetitions, so many things that are unnecessary, and they completely do not agree with the pro forma of the Śilāhāra charter. That's the most important point. Now, let us turn to the Kasheli charter. Okay. Tasya Gramasya Sima. Now he is talking about the Kasheli village. Tasya Gramasya Sima. Purvasyam dishi Kurala Nama Nadi. Dakshinasyan dishi Savutre Nama Shushka Srotah. Paschimasyan dishi Saritpati. Uttarasyan dishi Kekhandikakhya Shudra Shushka Srotah. So in the east, there is a stream named Kurala. That is not identifiable just now. But Dakshinasyan dishi Sautre Nama Shushka Srotah. So there is still a stream named Saure in the south of the Kasheli village. Then Uttarasyan dishi Kekhandika, and there is another stream called Khekditsa Parya, which is in the north of the village. So except maybe the Kurala, the eastern boundary, all the other 3 boundaries are very well defined. There is no problem. And in fact, we are not able to identify what this Kurala is, but it must be very famous at that time. And they have also given an additional dimension. So Ambe Verika Sthita Pugi Vruksha Samuha Paryantam. So till the Betel Grove, which is in the Ambe Verika village. So, and there is a village named Ambever, and of course Betel Groves are not anything that is new, that are new there. Okay. The point is that the boundaries are defined very well. And now turn to the Kotapur plates. Ityevam Kruta Simam. Ityevam. Thus are the Simas. Thus are the borders. But if he says thus are the borders, then he should have given the borders before that. But he is giving them after that. Kruta Simam Tatra Manchala Giri Prasuta Apaga Samudra Gamini Ganganta Sahyapad Sindhu Mukhavarti Madhya Desham Dharmadi Kalyana Tanyavu Nirvahopayogi Dharma Shastre Sangrahartham, etc. etc. Okay. Now what are the borders described there? Manchalagiri Prasutapaga Samudragamini. So there is a stream or a river which starts from the Manchalagiri. Okay, so that is one border. Okay, then Sahyapad, so till the foothills of the Sahyadri, and Sindhu Mukhavarti, Madhya Desham. So this is it. So there is a stream in the north, and the foothills of Sahyadri and the seashore. So that's a very big land actually. Okay, that's a very big land. And Tan Nirvaha Upayogi Dharma Shastre Sangrahartham. Now this is something that is not required here. And Purodha Sannihitam. So in the presence of the Purohita. Why this? They never mention it like that. Maybe the Purohit is present also, but they don't mention it like that. Purodha Sannihitam Kuntapura Grame Trimshat nivartana parimanam bhumim. Now this is a mixture, you see. There is a river, then there are foothills of the Sahyadri and the sea, and there is a village of Kotapur and 30 nivartanas of land. Parimanam bhumim and pratigramam rajata nishkancha. So pratigramam, from every village, a silver coin, rajata nishka. Now pratigramam, from every village, what are the villages? They are not mentioned. Okay, so maybe if they want to say that from this particular region, from every village, one coin every year or every month, whatever. But then this matter is not clear, and it doesn't appear like this in genuine inscriptions. That is the point. Okay, now let us also try to trace the geography of the Kotapur plates, you see. Now, Mirashi has identified this Manchalagiri with this Machal mount, which is almost on the ridge of the Sahyadri. Okay, so whatever you are seeing here is the Kolhapur district, you see. You see here Shahuvadi, okay, and this is Konkan. This is Konkan. So the stream, the river that starts from this Manchalagiri is this Muchkundi river, actually, river Muchkundi. Okay, the river Muchkundi, and this is Kotapur. But I don't think this is what they should intend. I think they should intend a smaller unit of land. And I could trace something here. So this is a spur called Machal Dhar, and from here a stream comes like this. And this is the river Muchkundi. I told you in the first slide itself, or second slide itself. This is the river Muchkundi, which is far away from the village Kotapur. The village Kotapur is here, and from Machal Dhar there is a stream that comes downstairs down here, and it actually flows in the north of Kotapur, and finally it submerges into the Muchkundi river itself. So perhaps they are talking about this stream which starts from Machal Dhar. From Machal Dhar. So Manchalagiri is not on the ghat of Sahyadri, and you see a very major fort Vishalgarh is very near the Machal mount, but it must be this smaller mount, which is a local mount, and there is a stream that is flowing in the north of Kotapur. Okay, and there is also a small stream here in the south. So perhaps between these two streams they are talking about. Okay, but this is all conjecture. Even Mirashi's writing is a conjecture, and my statement is also a conjecture. Okay. Now, does it end here? No, it does not. And then there is the eulogy of the Doni. A Chandrarka Mahi Dharan Vaya Bhrutam A Brahmana Shasanad Yushmat Yuar Naidhruva Gurjara Shrita Bhuvam Bhudeva Pudyatmanam. So it is all the eulogy of the donor. It is not the eulogy of the donor individual. It is the eulogy of the lineage. Okay, the Gurjaras. Okay, Acharadishu Deshamanya Padavi Varvarti Lokottara Kaschit Langhayatum Tutam Paridrudhi Bhuyad Vidhistam Dahet. So anybody who tries to actually go beyond you, cross you, or supersede you, Vidhi will actually burn him down. That's the idea. So Shruti Smruti Puranadnyam Dharma Shastrartha Kovidam Parthivo Yati Nirayam Akurvan Dharma Pathakam. So you see, a king who actually does not perform his duty towards the one who is proficient in the Vedas, Smrutis, Puranas, etc., goes to hell. So Parthivo Yati Nirayam. That's what the statement they have made, actually. Then Dharma Shastrartha Kushalam, etc. And what do they say? A king should appoint him as adept in the interpretation of Dharma Shastras and the reflects in the teaching of the Puranas as the head of religious establishment, and give him plenty of wealth. So this is the point. Dharmadhikarinam kuryad raja dadyat dhanam bahu. Then apradipa yathayat ratrihi. Like the night devoid of lights and like the sky devoid of the sun, the king who has no astrologer, okay, the king who has no astrologer stumbles on the path like a blind man. Okay, Bhramati Andha Iva Advani. Now they have given actually several qualifications to the Gurjaras or the Doni perhaps. The point is that all these qualifications that have been attached to the Doni, they are being explained here. Now this is even more artificial. Okay. Then Dharmashastram Puraskritya Prad Vivaka Mate Sthita. Samahita Mate Pashed Vyavaharan Anukramat. Okay. So the king should scrutinize lawsuits in their order with his mind concentrated and in accordance with the Dharma Shastra, following the advice of the judge. Now, what is the place of this particular line or this particular verse in the inscription? The inscription that is meant for a donation or a plate that is meant for a donation. So such matter has no place actually. And then the usual, you see, imprecatory verses, Bahubhir Vasudha Datta Rajavis Sagaradhipi Yasya Yasya Yada Bhumis Tasya Tasya Tada Phalam, which is according to the formula in the Kasheli Charter. And it appears here as Vasudha Bahubhir Datta, so some editing. And Tasya Tasya Mahaphalam, Tasya Tasya Tada Phalam is actually the real reading, and it should be the reading. So the point is that they have added unnecessary details which make the inscription quite doubtful. And Madvamshajava Paramahi Pati Vamshajava, this is a normal verse which appears. Okay, but instead of that, this is a different verse that appears in the Kotapur plates actually. Okay. Then Swadattam Paradattam is again a normal verse which appears in both the matters. Okay. Then Shashti Varsha Sahasrani Swargya Tishtati Bhumidaha is another verse which appears in both the plates. Okay. And Atidanam tu Sarvesham is also a normal imprecatory verse which appears in both the cases. Suvarnam Rajatam Tamam, so it is adopted in the same fashion. Bhartur Nishreyase Yukta appear, it is adopted in the same fashion. But then they add one more verse, Patantya Shruni Rudatam, etc. So this is a verse which is not there in the formula of the Śilāhāra charters. Okay. And then after these, the verse Madvamshajaha, it comes here, which has already appeared in the Kasheli charter. Okay, as we have seen already. Now, and the last two, or the last verse, Samanyayam Dharma Setur Rupanam, that's a very normal verse and it is common. Okay. And the Kasheli charter gives us that this inscription was executed by Vipra Vamiyanena. Okay. And it ends with the usual formula Mangala Mahashri. Whereas the Kotapur plates, they do not have the details of the scribe. And of course, since they are not inscribed, there is no question of writing the name of the inscriber. Okay. So now the point is that the Kasheli charter, you see, it seems to be imitated in all respects. In all respects, in the size of the plates, in the matter, in the alignment of the matter, in the name of the Doni, everything is almost, you see, copied. Okay. But the point is that the Kotapur plates were never actually inscribed. They are only written. They were never drilled. They were not ringed. They are not sealed. And this means that they are never issued officially. They are never issued officially. They are just made, and made for whose satisfaction we don't know. And they are made, as I said, in imitation of the Kasheli charter. The only problem is that They have added a lot of matter which is normally not there in inscriptions. Normally, the Dhoni is never praised. Okay, but here he is praised just to show that the Dhoni or the whole lineage is great. Okay, so this is what it is, and that is why this Kotapur, the set of the Kotapur plates is actually, you can say, it is a written forgery, but to call it forgery is also not very proper, but because it is not inscribed, the process is not completed, and the charter is never issued. Okay, but whether anybody had any pecuniary benefit or any other benefit, such as fame, such as influence, such as political power, such as some appointment on some position of honor. So whether anybody has had any benefit by creating this unauthorized plate or set of plates is not ascertainable. We cannot say whether anybody has been benefited by creation of these plates or not. I'm very much aware that I'm talking about the people and the families that are very much living in those villages. But let me express my actually apology to them if I have hurt them. But the point is that this is the case of historical investigation, and that's what I have done. So I have nothing against anybody. In fact, there is nothing against anybody. So I am thankful to all those who were helpful in going through these inscriptions and doing the discovery. And of course, I'm also thankful to the previous editors and authors who have worked on these two inscriptions. But still, the conclusion remains that the Kotapur plates were made in imitation of the Kasheli charter, and they were never officially issued. Thank you.